Hello to another episode of your weekly South African cricket podcast called the Full Quota Podcast, where we talk all things South African cricket. And we have a weekly podcast where we discuss all the news and views that happen in the week. We have player interviews. You can go back and have a look at those. And you can ask, where can I go back and have a look at those? All our previous podcasts and everything is available on YouTube at the the One World Sports Radio channel. You can follow us on X at Full Quota Pod, and also you can subscribe on Apple Podcasts for the audio version. So if you're those who'll be driving around stuck in traffic like me tomorrow because of the BRICS Summit, you can listen to our podcast, our audio version, or on Spotify at Full Quota Podcast, name right there, as well as Apple Podcasts. I'm looking at an option of putting us onto Amazon Podcasts. So if you're an Amazon person, let me know. It'd be really cool to see if there are people who listen on Amazon. But I've tried to cover Android as well as Apple. So whichever way you go, please do send through your comments. And we love going through your comments, and also engage with us on Twitter. Tim is at Tim32_cricket, and I'm Adam Pomoreki on X. Tim, have you subscribed for X? Because I'm seeing people are getting paid to post content these days.
I saw that too, and no, I haven't. And even though people are getting paid for content, I'm not gonna do it. I'm not gonna bite the bullet. No, I'm not gonna give the satisfaction for Elon that is one. That paying actually makes it worthwhile. That thanks.
If I'm getting a couple of $1,000, but I heard it was like you need like 1 million impressions. So look, that's the other thing to you, our listener and our viewer. If you can get us up those impressions, share as widely as possible, we might be getting some money from X instead of us asking you for money. Yeah, I don't like the Proteas Boys dude, but look, if he's gonna pay me to be on X, I don't mind. But yeah, like the turnaround a month is a little weird. But you can post essays supposedly, so kind of defeats the purpose of Twitter. But anyway, let's talk about this week's news. So there was a piece of news that we wanted to talk about last week, and it was around Hilton Moring's contract being renewed. Not many people were happy about it, and we saw that with a lot of reports, right? And then a couple of days later, so we didn't get to that last week, right? But last week's podcast was awesome. Like, please go listen to it. It was really, really nice. Because we were talking about SA20 and all the other drama that was happening there. SA20 launched their fixtures. I still need to talk about that. We'll end up talking about that because that was just wild. Because I'm sitting there going, I'm looking at that going, it's not even like playoffs win, guys. So you can't be like half the Proteas will be unavailable. It is all of them.
Like, they didn't listen to us. We gave them legitimate plan Bs. We gave them legitimate ways to make sure that sizable Proteas players could go to New Zealand.
Yeah.
In making both products successful. We said to them, "This is what you could do," and they didn't listen to us. Yeah.
Also, the assumption that New Year's test is going to go to day 5, guys. Come on. I don't think it can. So that's Sunday the 7th. You can have something there. But there are a couple of things about that fixture list that are just weird. The double headers are now shrunk. And I'm like, no. You're becoming the Big Bash. We don't want one game of cricket a day. Make it 2 so we can get through the tournament as quickly as possible. But I understand for them, they want to make it as long as possible because the tournament ends on like the 11th of February. So there ain't no way you could send one squad and then after the first test, like the last first test where they were supposedly jet lagged, you can send another squad and be like, this is actually the real Proteas team. And also New Zealand being so far away. Why are you so far away? Why can't you be like the UK where you can be like, okay, guys, guys are knocked out. Who's knocked out? Okay, keep going. Just keep like planes up to the UK. But we can't do that. So, yeah. Anyway, we're going to talk about the momentum purchase today. We'll talk about. So here's the thing. The second half of our podcast will be that New Zealand series squad. We're going to name a non-SA20 New Zealand series squad. It was a little bit tough. I've also got a lot of caveats and a lot of begging of Graham Smith and some of the franchises, but we'll talk about it. So do hang around 25, 30 minutes. I'll put a timestamp at the bottom so everyone will have in the comments so that you know where to go if you don't want to listen to this one, because I think this is important. It's a great year for women's sport, and it started with the Momentum Proteas making the final of the Women's World Cup. I think they performed the most. We had Banyana, we had Spa Netball, Proteas, we also had the Proteas Women, and out of all three, the team that did the best was the Momentum Proteas. And it's been quiet since then, right? We've been trying to figure out what they're going to do. They've announced some series. They are going to Australia at the end of the year to play there. That's going to be huge. But they are going to Pakistan before then, and there's a really important series because the first time we're actually going to Pakistan. So we're expecting a team that's going there. But there's so many things happening around. Hilton Moreng's been extended as coach, and not a lot of people are happy with that, according to reports. The squad that was announced, we're going to talk about it now, has a lot of questions, and we're going to go through the questions. So we're going to put up the squad, and then we'll go through the questions. So the squad going to the first ever tour of the Momentum Proteas Women. Shouldn't call them Momentum Proteas Women, but Momentum still a sponsor. Annika Bosch, Tasman Brits, Nadine de Klerk, Mika Derrida, who is a wicketkeeper for the Garden Route Badgers at Southwestern Districts, Lara Goodall, Sinala Jafta, Marzan Kap, Ayabonga Kaka, Masabata Klaas, who's moved across to the Titans, Sune Luce, Nunkule Gomlaba, Dumisi Kukune, Nundumisu Shangase comes back in, Dalmi Taka, and Laura Wolfart, right? So there's a lot of questions here, but this team announcement was accompanied with an email or a memo to kind of explain everything, right? So one of the first things, this is one of the key things, right, that we have to look at, right, is they did not name Sunil Lees as captain. Every other every other team announcement comes with captain, right? It also comes with a beautiful slide like this. That didn't come with that slide. We didn't get a slide like that, or where the captain is on the side doing their thing. And they didn't name Sune Lees as captain, and so reports came out that Sune stepped down as captain, or there was complications. One side said she was only interim, even though they did say before that she was permanent. The other side said they needed to step down. And my thinking was, if Sune Lees is stepping down, is that there was confusion between that. So let's talk about that, Tim. That first question, that's Sune Lees. Who is the captain of the side?
We don't know. Unfortunately, we don't know. We will, by the time this podcast comes out, we won't know, but we will know by tomorrow, because the announcement of the captain will be made tomorrow. Cricket South Africa have just put out a press release saying that will happen. Okay. So we will know in 24 hours from now.
But my then question is, Sune Lees, when she led the Proteas Women at the World Cup, in the absence of the drama that happened with Dene Fanikak, they then CSA said they were making it permanent, right? And I get that, right? You know, Dene's not going to the World Cup. She's the incumbent captain. She's been injured, but Dene's been doing a great job. And now she's being thrust into this role. And I would have been okay if she came in and Dene was like, I don't need to be captain, right? We've seen this in cricket all the time, right? Why do they need to change the captain?
I think, unfortunately, we don't know, but I think something has happened within Cricket South Africa, the management of the women's side and the players. I think something has happened, and all things have come to an end. The big issue I have is the last time the Proteas women played was 6 months ago. It's virtually 6 months ago. We have not heard, until about 10 minutes before we came on the podcast, we had not heard a thing. Nothing about who they're playing, who the captain is, we had heard so little, and it feels like Cricket South Africa have said, women come second. That's what it feels like. We've seen updates with the men, we've seen fixtures, we've seen the changes, we've seen the announcements with the New Zealand tour, which we'll get into. It just feels as though, oh, by the way, we need to do something with the Proteas Women. Let's quickly brush up an email. That's what it felt like when you have it's been a badly piece of miscommunication. We saw that with the men.
Because people asked, right? And that's the reason why we know, right? Reports came out where CSA were asked, who's the captain? Then they said they'll announce the captain. And then everyone asked, what about Sine? And they said, no, Sine asked to step down. And we're like, what? In what world? And the other thing, obviously, Chloe Tryon's asked to take a leave of absence. And I'm sitting there thinking, I'm like,
I think that is, without knowing the facts, but I think that is linked to Sunula's stepping down, shall we say. I think that is, they are linked.
Sine would step down as captain. Sine stepped down as captain. CSA called Chloe. Chloe was like, actually, I was going to ask you to give me a break because she doesn't want to be scapegoat. But this leads to the bigger question, Tim, and I think that's my thing, right? Is the women's team, the current women's team, not happy with the appointment of Hilton? Because we've seen this it happens in women's football quite a lot, actually. And
we've seen it in the Women's World Cup.
Yes, the Spanish team that managed winning the World Cup had exactly the same thing, right? They did not like the coach or did not see where the coach was going to take them, and then decided to do this. I have been on this podcast before. We've interviewed Hilton Murring. I've also been on this podcast before to say that I think it's time for Hilton to move on. He's been with the team for 11 years. And that's another case to yours, Tim, where you say that it feels like they're an afterthought. It's like a reaction, right? And it was that, right? We were waiting to see. The big news I was waiting for was what were they going to do with the coach's job? He was coming up his contract is ending. Are they going to extend him? Or are they going to get someone new? A lot of people thought they'd try to get someone from the Australia-England fold to kind of let these ladies go take a next step. Similar, if you watch the Mpho and Tim Proteas, they did this with Norma Plummer, who coached Australia. She took them to the next step, and it was great. I don't know, yeah. And so I thought that would be it, right? And maybe Hilton becomes director of cricket, largely because he knows the goals, right? And then they sit on a panel together with the coach to try and figure out how best, whatever it is. CSA announced a couple of weeks ago that Hilton's now still coach. And we were going to talk about it last week, actually, right? And my thing is this, all the drama that's happened now, there's no Chloe Tryon. There's no, Sune is no longer captain, so then who's going to captain, right? We're interested to see who's going to get the job. And the Sune release thing, and I'm thinking, we've heard stories that there were a group of players who wrote to CSA asking that Hilton move on. And so my only question, and to the viewers and the listeners, could it be that, Tim? Could it be that? Could it be that they have an issue? They've brought it up to CSA. CSA has not listened. They've appointed Hilton again. And the best way for Sune and Chloe is to say, hey, I don't want to play. Chloe's one's a little bit different because she's been playing T20s, and to say you can say no if someone says, do you want to be captain? Right? But it's a bad look. Where Sune's used the best answer, I'd like to step down. Right? I was captain, you made me permanent. But that was the other thing, right? CSA said she was permanent at the World Cup. Now they're saying she was interim. It's that little thing that I was sitting, if I'm Tanea, I'd be like, okay, fine, I'm stepping down. I won't be captain of this team. So that story came out, and then CSA had an entire week to figure out what they need to do. And this is where they got to, right? So now we're going to Pakistan on this historic tour. No one's making any noise about it. And then we're now launching the first professional women's league. And I have so many questions, and I hope they answer the questions tomorrow. Like, you can't call it professional if there are women who still need to take a second job in order for them to be able to make ends meet. You are a professional when you have a job that can sustain you. So this thing of professional women's league means that USCSA are paying, and I hope equally to the men, the same amount, because quite frankly, the men in domestic cricket don't bring in any money. So this whole equal pay thing is an easy one for you, right? Because no one's watching 4-day cricket. Some people are watching 1-day cup, and that's not bringing in a lot of money, right? So I hope they get paid equally. That's one. And I hope they get paid enough for them not to be teachers and coaches at schools, and for them to eat right, for them to maintain, to have enough money to be able to go to gym and do all these things that keep these fitness standards going. But for me with CSA, it feels like every week there's always drama. First it was the fitness thing, then it was Hilton. Now it's this thing with Sune, Chloe, and the squad that has no captain. That's going to be the captain's going to be announced a week later. And yeah, it's just weird. And yeah, I'm not a fan. The only and I'd like to be talking about how the squad looks going forward, because we've lost Shibnam and we've lost Dene. And what's the squad going to look like going to Pakistan? Because I think we need an out and out pacer, and Aya's there, but she's not out and out. Who's that girl? Who's that next girl who's gonna blow everyone away? And that's what I want to talk about. I look at the squad and I'm like, this is the same guys we've taken everywhere. Where's the new person? Mika Darid is new, and from my research, she's a wicketkeeper.
Yeah, the only sort of, what do you call it, positive I would say is that we're going to Pakistan. We're not going to Australia. So we don't need an out pacer, so to speak. We don't need a Shubman Ismail 2.0 at the moment. We do need somebody like that. We do need that long term, absolutely. But for this particular tour, you could make an argument to say, you know what, it's going to be spin. Spin's going to do the business. So let's take a whole bunch of spinners, which is effectively what they've done. I just want to touch on the Hilton thing. The Hilton thing is a very simple thing to fix. And it should have been done 6 months ago. Because that's what the player said. We like Hilton. We've had Pomp Hilton on this podcast. We like him. He's done a fantastic job. But like any coach in any facet of sport, they have a shelf life. They have a time where it is time to move on. You and I correctly, as you pointed out, we said that he needed to move sideways into a director of women's cricket or something along those lines. So still be involved. So it's not a having a go at Hilton at all. The players have been at pains to say it's not against him. It's that they want something different. They want a new approach. They want new ideas. They want something fresh. There's nothing wrong with that. So what should have happened? It should have happened 6 months ago, after the World Cup. Thank you, Hilton. We're going to get this person to take over, and you're going to move into your new role. Then we would be going to this tour, knowing who the captain was, knowing who the coach was. Hopefully had 1 or 2 camps so they could get to know the players, and we would be much better off. Yeah. But that's not the way Cricket South Africa does things. Cricket South Africa does things at the last minute. As we've just said, they're about to go to Pakistan, and we don't know who the captain is. Yes, it's been widely reported that it'll be Laura Volvout, but it hasn't been confirmed. So, for someone like Cricket South Africa, we say it a lot, we say it all the time, it needs to be better. Yeah. We need to get to a stage where we don't say that. We need to say, great, we've got these things nailed down, and we don't have any blowouts, so to speak.
Yeah, so Tim, let's talk about the players, let's talk about the squad, and then we'll we'll close it out, right? Because I think it'll be unfair just to talk about all the problems, but not congratulate the players, right? So there's 12 out of 15 were at the World Cup. Obviously, Chloe Tryon and Shibnam Ishmael are out. Just need to figure out who else is out. But we see Dumisuku Kune coming in, which is great because she missed out of the World Cup. She was the non-traveling reserve, which really, really did hurt her. And we're happy for her to come back, and she's the other one. Anri Dirksen is the other player who's out. She's on the path to recovery. But we see Mika Derrida, who is going to be making her debut, first time in the squad. So we're happy for her. 27-year-old wicketkeeper batter from the Garden Route Badgers. And I think that's a direct situation of we might not have a wicketkeeper who can bat in Untitled Chapter. And so the question obviously is, do you want glove work, or do you want lesser glove work with some runs that can be added onto it? And
do you want the
competition?
Do you want the female version of Johnny Bairstow?
Yes, essentially, right? Yeah, it's either Johnny Bairstow or what's that other guy from Sussex? Sorry,
Ben Fox.
Folksy.
Ben Fox.
Yeah, but we also see Ayabonga Kaka, Masabata Class, who might make it into the 11. I'm not sure if they're going to go with Dumi or Masabata Class into that 11. That's going to be quite interesting because obviously I think Dumi needed to push a pace up. And I think if she's done that, she could be Shibnam 2.0, even though, she over the years we've seen kind of her pace progress. And to a certain extent, you'd want obviously to see if she's picked up a little bit of pace. We haven't seen her in over 6 months actually, so that'll be quite interesting to see what she looks like. And then we see Nondimiso Shangase, who last went with the Momentum Proteas when I think it was the India tour, when they went to Surat. Was the pre-India. There were 2 India tours, right? The first one where Liz League just kept on getting run out, and then was the India tour where South Africa actually did well, and Taz and Brits actually stepped up, and it was like last year, right? So with the big crowds and everything else. So Nondimiso Shangase, she's also a batter, a top order batter for KZN, and also a spin bowler as well. So we've taken an extra spinner to Pakistan, which is falling into the Pakistan trap because you might get some pitches where they're good. And to a certain extent, you're looking for the next Shibnam Ismail. So I thought maybe they might give a call up to one of the youngsters who are bowling pace. But I don't think we've got youngsters who are bowling pace at that level yet. Pakistan have Fatima Sana, who's going to be there. She's going to be doing a great job, bowling very quick, electric. And she to me reminds me of Shibnam. She's very erratic, but she's going to be causing a lot of problems. And so I'm assuming they're not going to give us dust balls. They're going to give us something for her to move the ball around. But Pakistan, after that, it's just spin all the way. So I hope everyone's had a spin camp or something. I hope they will have some sort of a camp. I know they were having camps in and out just to get themselves reacquainted and fit over the past couple of months. But yeah, so for me, I'm excited to see this team. It gives me it feels hollow when you kind of feel like Shibnam, Tim, and then this is my question to you, kind of feel like Shibnam left at the wrong time, because she was still the best player in this team by a country mile. I know Laura's good, but like she was still at the peak of her powers.
As I said earlier, referring to everything, it just feels like Proteas Women have gathered dust, not of their own making. But it just feels like the whole product has gathered dust, and we have been fast forwarded, and Shipman is left 5 seconds ago, and she leaves no doubt about it, she leaves a massive hole in that squad. She's only one player, but she, to a large extent, particularly without Dane, she was the life and soul of that team. So. It feels like a team that is not necessarily equipped for the journey. I hope that I'm wrong. I hope that they are, and I hope that they win convincingly. But it just feels like that. It feels like you You would like one or two new faces in there. We've
Yes,
got
and
one,
that's
but you would like another couple. That's what
yeah,
it feels like.
and kind of tells you where our cricket is right now. Our women's cricket is right now is that a lot of people have gotten caps and have been out in the wilderness, and now they're back in. Shangase Dumi, Masabat class and the like. And then the other thing is for me is this series is for South Africa to win this series. Laura needs to bat incredibly well, and Marazan Cup needs to shoulder that bowling attack for as long as you can. Aya's great, but Aya's not your 1A bowler, right? You had two 1As in Cup and Shubnam carrying it, and Aya came in as that. So the question for me this tour is, can Aya take that step up into being a 1A? And she's shown us in glimpses of being able to do that, right? And you'd want her to take the new ball. You wanted to impose herself. You wanted to add a little bit more pace and see if she can't terrorize batters. Marizan's done that, but I'm more worried about Marizan breaking down with all the cricket she's playing right now. But she's the fittest woman I've seen in the world. So it's that. But obviously with the extra workload of being a batter and everyone else, everyone else is still trying to find their place in the team, which is weird because they went to a World Cup final. But to a certain extent, you'd need Laura, and without Chloe Tryon, you've lost 2 out of 6. And Sune needs to work on her batting, so that's going to be an important series for her. Her batting has regressed horribly, and you'd want her to come back. And so there's a lot of things that are working around in that batting lineup. Tasman needs to cement that opening spot. That it's hers, but she needs to let us know that it's hers, right? And so those are the things that we're looking to try and see. Whereas with the bowling, Shibnam's gone. Who's going to step up? On top of that, Sune, is you going to bowl more? Are we going with Shangase as a spinner, as an out and out spin option, or are we going to be, because Chloe Trown's no longer here, right? So you need to figure out how that's going to go. The Dalmi Tuckers, the bowl, a little dibbly dobblers there, here and there. They're also looking for a spot in the side. So it's actually quite interesting because if this is the same squad that goes to Australia, we're on a hiding to nothing. That I can tell you. And that's where I'm worried.
Yes.
Whereas in January, you kind of had 5 little. You had your 3. It was Shibnim, Marazan, and Laura, and then you had your other guys in and Chloe. That was 4, right? So you had 4 game breakers. Now you're going to with 2, and then you're hoping everyone else steps up. So for me, that's where I'm at with this team, and so at least get the game breaker back in Chloe Tran for Australia, but we need people to step up now. This is, and to a certain extent, you would have wanted Hilton to kind of move on, so the new generation gets a new, fresh pair of eyes, and maybe someone who can actually take them to that next level. Because it as much as Hilton has succeeded, and he has broken barriers at every tournament he's played, he's not winning a World Cup anytime soon. I can tell you that, even with a squad like this. This squad doesn't tell me world beaters. It tells me a team that's now back to the transition phase. So if we're going back to the transition phase with players who haven't taken the world by storm, you're going to run into a situation like this where maybe you should have looked to get a new coach.
Which is why we need, as I was just going to say, which is why we need new ideas. Fresh. Yeah. Something fresh.
Yeah. So Momentum Proteas is going to be playing 3 T20s and 3 ODIs in the next month in Pakistan. So that's going to be quite awesome. Kind of gives you something before the Men's World Cup comes up, right? We're staring down the barrel of the Men's World Cup. Australia are probably in the skies right now, coming to South Africa, the men's team, for the ODI T20 series that's going to be happening in 7 days' time. Now, let's shift our focus a little bit. Good luck to the Momentum, to all women cricketers around. I do hope that tomorrow's announcement of a professional league gives you something and not necessarily an increased stipend for you to play cricket. We need our women to be paid the same way as the men are. And if that's what the SA20 money went to do, by all means, I'm happy for it to be used. So tomorrow is CSA telling you they found a pocket of money to pay women to play cricket and make it a full-time job. That's what we want, and that's what we want to hear. And if they don't, we'll be back here on Monday to tell them why they went sideways. So yeah, it's happening tomorrow. So good luck. Massive start to the women's domestic league. Hopefully, they will get some games on TV as well. Because quite frankly, I'd rather watch women's 4-day cricket, or no, they don't play 4-day cricket, but they play 1-day cricket, than watch the men 4-day cricket, because nobody wants to watch men's 4-day cricket on TV anyway. So hopefully, but if not, we can do commentary. We can organize the opportunities to do commentary on women's cricket. Okay. Second topic. Let's move to the men's side. SA20 had their launch of the fixtures last week. It was a little bit more elaborate for a fixture launch than I would have liked, but anyway, cool. The defending champions, the Sunrisers Eastern Cape, will be having their ring night. I really do think they should have a ring night where you have all the players and you give them rings for the fact that they've won an SA20, and maybe we move into the whole ring culture like American football.
I was going to say, you really want it to be
know,
an NFL cricket version.
Make it a thing, right? It's a Wednesday night. Nobody does anything on a Wednesday night, so make it fun. Have a ceremony before. Do something. Celebrate. Make them play in white kit, for God's sakes, for just one game. To be like, we're champions, white and gold, Eastern Cape Sunrisers. Ew, if I was a media person there,
I tell you what, it is so different to what we see for the rest of the summer. I say, why not? I say, why not?
So cool, right?
It is really so different. So why not? And it caters to that avenue of people who are interested in that sort of cricket. If you're going to do razzmatazz, don't go halfway, go all the way. Go all the way.
Tim, you hear my thing, right? So they played JSK first up, so that's it. But the thing about that is that we saw so everyone was looking at the back end. Thought, I was like, scroll. Okay, final, 11th of February, right? That's the middle of the second test now in New Zealand. So we're going to be watching cricket in the morning, and then the commentators are going to say, poor cricket that's happened because some of the players on here. This is bad. Playoffs starting up the third. And I'm like, oh. So effectively, the way I look at it, and we'll talk about it probably later on, they needed to move the schedule up. They needed to free up about 4 days. They needed to push the schedule up about 4 days to have the playoffs start 4 days earlier. So at least if there are teams, by the time we get playoffs, teams have locked in their 11. So there'll be some stragglers. I don't think Temba's going to be opening for Sunrisers Eastern Cape. So I'm like, dude, if it's 4 days earlier, Temba's on the plane. He arrives in New Zealand, he's jet lagged, but he can bat. A jet lagged Temba going to be putting out, right? And things like that, right? If, let's say, the Sunrisers have a bad year and Durban Super Giants, right? So then Highness on the plane, Aiden and Temba on the plane, right? And then, Gerald can't go, that's fine. But you've got guys there who can do something, right? Actually, at one Paul and MI Cape Town and JSK got out, I'd be like, just send Gerald and Tachiso, just send them. Even like with the playoffs there, just send them. But anyway, so Tim and I were like, let's actually create a squad of guys who we think won't be in the SA20. So we've done that. And these guys, this is a test 11 of guys who are not on SA20.
I'm just going to put a caveat for people. So this is before the final draft. So I'm sure there will be people go, oh, but you didn't put so and so. We are putting our heads on the block here. This is before the final draft. So that's just put that out there.
I don't know if you want to be picked for SA20 or play for the Proteas and get another opportunity, but on this one we think that someone's going to pick you up. A wicketkeeper batsman is very valuable in this market. So we've done that. So this is our squads going to New Zealand of guys we think won't be picked in SA20. Mine is different, and I'll give you my caveat. So I'll start with my team, right? So my team is Dean Alger, Josh Richards, because I think Josh Richards is the best opener in the country that isn't playing for the Proteas. And we'll fight about that, Tim. Tony DeZorzia 3, like he has played before. My worry is actually Tony could get picked up in this SA20. So I'm assuming first auction he wasn't picked. This one, I think he won't be picked because I think they've moved off of the guys who were weird, who they picked and were on the edges, right? So that'll be quite interesting, right? The other one you could consider Saro Avia coming back, and coming out of retirement, which would be wild, but it'll be fun. Blast from the past. I picked Temba Bavuma at 4 on this basis. He's the test captain. There has to be a discussion with the Sunrisers to say, can you release Temba 2 weeks before? He was picked as a on the back end of the first SA20, and a lot of our listeners and viewers think Temba can't play T20, so it would make sense right, for Temba to ask to be released to go to New Zealand as the test captain. At least let's have our test captain. But in the absence of Temba, your boy David Bedingham, we might as well see him flourish. Might as well see the guy flourish. The other interesting one, might as well see him flourish. It'll be cool. And then Keegan Peterson at 5, because that's what Shukri wanted Keegan Peterson to play. So I was like, okay, 5, cool. Jason Smith, you need a bit of an all-round option. But he would need to start bowling like soon. We can't take Ethan Bosch, who I'd love to have him here, but because he's very valuable at thing. Delano Porkit is another one who hasn't been picked up by a team, so that's going to be one we need to be looking at. But I think he will be picked up in SA20. So Jason Smith is there. I've put in Snetemba Kashile there. I could have put in Lesego Senekwane of the Dragons at Northwest. He had a really great season last year, and I think between him and Snetemba, as like Snetemba's a little bit older, we need old heads in New Zealand. You can't be throwing away World Test Championship points for fun. Bear Swanepoel, just because he's the number 1 wicket taker in South Africa. Sean von Berg, definitely going on the plane. Simon Harmon needs to go and tell them, look, guys, it's 200,000 Rand. Just let me go. Let my people go. Just let me go to New Zealand for the back end of the series. You've got Liam Dawson. You can find another kid. Let my people go. Let Tim's people go. That's all I'm asking from the Sunrisers. Then you've got Luto and Duan, which I think Tim and I have the same. So on Tim's side, he's got Dean, Tony, Keegan, which we all aligned, just different batting positions. David Bedingham were aligned. Stian van Sale, Tim. Stian. We'll bring him back again. Using him.
Bring him back.
The biggest problem with Stian is though he was used before in positions he didn't like. You bring him back again for more abuse?
I bring him back more, please. But at least I'm not opening him in this time round. I think I'm right. I think I've got 6 players of the 11 over 30.
Yes.
This bunch is an experienced bunch. They might not be experienced in terms of Test cricket outside of Keegan Peterson and Dean Gallagher, but in terms of South African domestic cricket, they are experienced individuals. The only question I have, is, as you rightly pointed out before, is a Carver Rayner. If Carver Rayner does not get picked, he will. I'm 99.9% certain he will. But if he doesn't, he obviously gets in ahead of Rudy Second. But I'd love Rudy Second to get a chance. Now, Rudy Second has been the second best keeper in South African cricket.
He'd be like, it's 5 years too late. He just wanted one call up so he can be an overseas player in the UK.
I know, but if he got this, he'd say, you know what, I played for the national side.
Yeah.
The bowlers from well, New Zealand conditions. The New Zealand conditions he will love. He will say, you know what, my English summer has just got extended. By a couple of weeks.
So you went with one extra bowler. I went with one extra batter. Or Jason Smith is the all-round option. My thinking is a draw is as much as a win. So I need as many batters here who can.
Look,
5 days.
I won't lie. I did discuss that, and I thought of playing if Carl was not going to be picked, playing Carl as batter, saying to Rudy, you keep, and playing Carl as the batter. And instead of one of the bowlers, that was certainly something I thought about at one time or another. Yeah. But I've always been a 6-5 split preference. I've always been that. But it's sound. You're right. 7 batsmen. In theory, you shouldn't lose.
Why haven't
even
you
with this.
gotten Glenton Steenman in there, even though he's one of the guys who got a Proteas cap and he's got more Proteas caps. Well, not more, but more recent.
I prefer Dane. I prefer
Okay.
Dane. Dane's got something a bit more about him. I know people in general prefer Stearman. I prefer Dane. If I'm gonna pick one of them, Dane is the better for me. In particular, in those conditions, which will be massively favourable for
Yeah.
Patterson, for definitely.
So, no Zube Hamza for you. Why not?
No. The top six for me wasn't all that difficult. Providing, of course, I'm allowed to pick these top six. I've got to be honest, it never crossed my mind. Even though he's played quite a few times, it never actually crossed my mind.
Reynard van Tonder, because people would be bringing him up as well.
Yeah, again, didn't cross my mind. I don't know why that.
It says a lot.
It does, doesn't it? It speaks volumes.
It speaks volumes more than anything else.
If I'm picking a Stanford Sale, who, let's be honest, is 2 or 3 years past his best, over those two, that speaks volumes.
So here's the thing. Here's a question for you: which players will Shukri be praying that nobody picks?
Tony.
I mean, Tony. And Kyle,
absolutely. Tony and Kyle. Although, yes, I don't think he's a massive fan of Kyle, but I think needs must, and he will say, you know what, it's not my favourite.
There's another wicketkeeper batter who's lighting up the world right now, and he's making South Africa feel like a favourite at this coming World Cup in Heinrich Klaasen. And I'm like, oh, Heinrich, what are you trying to do to us? What are you doing to us? So, yeah, he'd obviously be number one.
Look, there's a, it won't happen. And I actually wouldn't do it because I actually think we're covered in terms of the bowling. But there's a certain John Turner. Oh, no, he's injured. You can't pick him.
Oh, the guy who
was picked for the. He was picked for the
England
setup, and he's just got injured. So, yeah.
But he could be fine by Feb.
It's possible. But again, we're covered with bowlers. It's the batsmen that we're a bit not quite sure about.
We're covered with the bowlers. The bowlers that you've named, I don't think can take us 20 wickets, and that's my issue, right? If this is where you'd want, and this is my issue, right? It's that I don't mind going in with a half-baked team, right? So say that, and this is where I think they should have negotiated was, we'll start the tournament a little bit early, we'll have more double headers, and we'll try and finish by the 5th of Feb, or the first weekend in Feb, right? Which means that the test match will have started by then. But at that point, we will have knocked out 2 teams, maybe even 3 or 4. And we will let go of players who teams deem are no longer needed, i.e. Simon Harmer. If I'm taking Simon Harmer, I can take that bowling attack any day. That was the thing, right? I need someone who can cause drama and havoc. And those guys are Kagiso, Gerald, Lungi to a certain extent. I'd bring him in there. It is Anna, it is Keshav and Simon. I need at least 2 of those guys to be with me on the plane. And to a certain extent, Durban Supergiant, you can go use Prenell and Subrian, guys. Prenell and Subrian's just as good a bowler as anybody else. You can use him. Just release Kesh. That's all we ask, Because imagine if you do the whole Bangladesh thing, right? We go Kesh and Simon, and then we, whoever the bowlers are, whoever's the flavor of the month, and then we can tear them to shreds with our spinners, right? Unless even if they give us that green top, doesn't matter. We're going on with both our spinners. And so that's my thing, right? And that was the disappointing thing about the SA20 results was that, oh guys, you missed the trick here. You can't, you only have double headers on a Saturday, but you don't want to have a double header on a Friday. People can leave their offices by 1, guys. We'll make a plan. Just for the Proteas. We as the fans agree. We will come out of the offices at 12. The days on Friday will end at 12. We'll be in the stadium at 1, and you can have double headers.
Cape Town finishes at 12 on Friday anyway. Without SA20, Cape Town finishes.
We would do our job. We will come to your stadiums just so that we can release Kagiso or someone. Doesn't matter who it is. Look, the worst, South Africa's worst nightmare is MI Cape Town and Pretoria Capitals in a final, because Anrich and Kagiso are locked up. Locked up. Locked up. You can't even take David Brevis. You can't even do anything. And that was my issue, right? Is that this is like a C team, right? And it's guys who played for the Proteas have gone. I don't want to call them has-beens, but they're past their prime. They've passed their window. It's guys who haven't actually kicked on in their cricketing journey who are here. Yes, Tony Dezorzi has kicked on. I'm just surprised he hasn't been picked in SA20. It's just the weirdest thing. And Dean Elgar's not a T20-ish player, right? There's the call for Neil Brunt, and I'm like, Neil might get picked up.
Yes, absolutely. Because he's, I could see him being picked up.
Like, all our spinners, all our capable spinners are gone.
Yeah, yes.
Like, even to Braves, like, I'd be like, guys, give us Shamsi. We can't even do that.
They can't. No.
Like, what are we going to be doing? And guys, I'm so angry. Because you understand, beating New Zealand away from home sets you up, because you'll have beaten India at home. You're going to be getting those points from India. You're going to be getting those points from New Zealand. You don't play England. You don't play Australia. You're effectively playing Pakistan, Sri Lanka after that, and the West Indies, who, quite frankly, are just everyone's fodder. You're walking into the World Test Championship final. Just for one season. I know it's the second season of SA20. Just release that. Please let my people go. Like, I'm going to be like Mandela. Let my people go, guys. Let my Proteas go. Please, we need them. We need them. Like, the batting is fine. It's okay. But give us Temba, give us Simon, and give us one quick. Even if it's Lazard Williams. Like, I'll take Lazard. Lazard is capable. He's a game breaker. I'll take him.
Yeah.
And he's the
I had him in my squad originally. I had him in my 11. And then I saw he's been picked up.
Yeah, just
so I thought, well, I can't pick him. So I can't. Yes, JSK. So I can't pick him. I would have had him in my squad.
At this point, I'd take Corbin Bosch. I would take Corbin Bosch. I'd be like, Corbin, here you go. Call your mom, call your dad, go to New Zealand, tell your brother I'm a Protea. We've done it before Ethan, even though Ethan's going to have a longer career than you. Just go to New Zealand. I'd even take you guys. Like, give me something. Like, these names are great, and they have the ability to blow us away. But the fact that the youngsters are not there, the Mitch Van Buren's, the guys in SA Emerging are all going to be playing in SA20.
Also 20.
And yeah, I hope Josh Richards doesn't get. If Josh Richards gets picked up, we're screwed. We're done. Like, there's nothing. We might as well not go. But yeah, that's me. That's me in my soapbox. Let my people go, please. Let my people go, please. For country.
We gave them solutions. They didn't listen. We can't do anything more. It's very frustrating.
Imagine how many more people will be engaged into cricket if South Africa make that World Test Championship final. If we make that World Test Championship final, a lot more people will be looking at our test team. And this is the opportunity for us to try and do that. But we are, because it's the luck of the draw. We found a draw where we don't play England, where we don't play India away, and we don't play Australia. Win-win. Massive.
It's not going to happen. It's not going to happen again. So, I mean, it is. You're right. It's. I'm not that scared of New Zealand, but at the same time, if I'm picking my squad, I'm thinking we're not winning. We might draw because of rain, because it loves the rain in New Zealand, but I can't see us winning with my 15. That's.
I'm asking to come out with 2 draws, and then we're just gonna have to find a way to win all the other games.
Yeah.
But that's my thing, right? Like,
and that's.
I'm gonna put up
and that's infuriating.
Even if we went to New Zealand with this, we win. If this was the
Yes.
New Zealand Test squad, we win.
Yeah. 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 That bowling attack, wow. Gee whiz.
And it doesn't have the big names.
No?
Dude, David Miller. This would be a perfect opportunity for David Miller. Like, let's say Paul got knocked out. They came sixth. I'm like, David, go captain that team, dude. Go get your Test cap. No. We won't even be seeing that because we're on the back end of the regular season at the time those guys go to New Zealand. So, unfortunately, we're stuck with this. And we can't even send Kwena. That's my frustrating thing. That's the thing. You can't send Kwena. You can't send Liam Alder. You can't send Matthew Bose because he's probably going to be picked up. He will be. He's very good. You can't even send Devald. Everyone's like, Devald needs more. Well, here's an opportunity. And
Exactly.
to some extent, it might come down to guys asking their clubs to leave. And so that's where the question is. I think it's unfair to have guys like Simon and Timber to go to the SEC and say, guys, let me go. It's unfair.
It is.
But it's going to come down to that. It's going to come down to guys saying, I see the value in the World Test Championship, and I want to give South Africa the best chance to win a Test series in New Zealand. And this is the best chance. But we're sending guys Devon Conway was putting away for fun.
Yes, effectively. That point that you make is very interesting because if we get Simon and if we get Timber, that I still think we're short of something. We're short of a Nokia.
Give me a quick.
But
even if
that still would be a huge improvement if we got both of those guys across the line.
And even if it was a Lazard, so if you had Simon, Lazard, and Timber, that changes the complexion of everything. Because Lazard's not going to give up, and like I try to pull your arm for Keshav, but I don't think you're going to get. You can even give me Van Mulder if Durban Super Giants doesn't like. I take Van Mulder, guys. Like I take him.
I can't see them releasing him. They're looking at him making runs in England, going, you know what? Somehow we'll turn him around. We'll make him make runs in South Africa. But yeah, you're right.
Grant Rulofson, Mitch van Buren, guys who didn't get a lot of game time in the last one, just send them our way. It's like Graham used to say that by the 25th of Feb, if you haven't played more than 2 games, you're able to get out of your contract.
That's the sort of thing that should have happened when the release came that there would not be releases. I was genuinely shocked that there was not some kind of compromise. I said to you a few weeks ago, and I said there will be a compromise. There will be some kind of a compromise. I genuinely thought not as much as last year, but it was basically a delay of the tournament. But I thought there would be something that would happen that would make both sides not happy, but okay.
Mutusami played a few games for Pretoria Capitals. Let him go. Like Lazard didn't play at all. Let him go. You can even give me Junaid Dawood. I'd take him. I need guys who are playing in domestic cricket and are good and would make a good B team. Pren, Subrian.
Well,
didn't play a lot. This is your moment.
That would tick boxes for Shukri. That would tick boxes. Stephen van Saar making 100 in Dunedin is not going to tick anyone's boxes. It isn't. Because he's not going to be over. He's finished.
When we go to the West Indies next year, everyone's going to be asking for Stiad because you know how South Africa doesn't score runs. Well, there he is.
But if Mitchell scores 100, Dunedin, for Bruin, then you've got somebody for the next 10 years.
That's what I'm saying. It's sad that we don't see the Test game as much as everyone else in the world. Because my thing is this, just like the Women's World Cup, right? If the Proteas make a World Test Championship final, everyone's watching that game. I don't like. There's nobody who's not gonna be like, I don't watch Test cricket. Test cricket's dead. The entire country will be watching that. Why? Because they love Test cricket. Why? Because they think that form of the game is great. The only problem is that CSA, with where they direct their money, is telling us that they don't see that as important. So why must I as a consumer see it as important? But if the players themselves outdo themselves with the lack of investment in Test cricket and get to that World Test Championship final, by all means. Oh, here's the thing. If we make the World Test Championship final with this whatever squad that we have, the non-SA20 squad, and Stian scores 100, Stian should be in the squad as a water boy so he can collect a medal when we win the World Test Championship final. Why? Because that 100 in Dunedin and that other 100 that we're going to get in the next Test match will literally be the reason why we're there. And he just needs to be the water boy to collect it. And I'm okay, because then it's like retribution. Like, we used him, you abused him, we did everything to him, and now he gets a World Test Championship medal. That's all I'm saying. That's all I'm saying. If Stian scores 100, take him to the World Test Championship final. It's the least we could do. Because when I look at these squads, I'm like, nah. Like, I try to be like, okay, shook, you guys, and you do that with your batting lineup. But even with the bowlers, you can. But like, if I'm Lucas Apamla, I'm in those nets, trying to crank up that pace, trying to be as accurate as possible, trying to get myself there. And if I'm Shukri, I'm going to those guys, going, look, New Zealand, there's an opportunity, guys. If you take FIFA, win us a game, 400, who knows? We could be in for the next couple of years. So we wait until the 27th. We'll probably do this thing again after the 27th. We're like, okay, fine. What's our 11? But yeah, Tim, any final words?
No, but no.
Well done to
Just to
SA
say, just to say that SMO are doing really well. I don't know if they won today. Did they win today? No. They were doing well. And in terms of our Proteas Women chat, the series starts at the 1st of September. Just put that into your diaries. But otherwise, that's it.
Okay, and that's for me. Remember, you can follow us on Spotify at Full Quarter Podcast, Apple Podcasts as well. Leave a review. It helps us get up on the algorithms. Please do that. Also, subscribe to the One World Sports Radio channel. Let us know what you think. Are you team let my people go? Or are you team, okay, let's give Stian another role. And can we bring Sardo as well from retirement for one last go? I'm okay with that too. Let us know where you sit.
And are you team Tim or team Mpho? Which one of us has got the better team?
Yeah. Tell me, you can tell me that I'm smoking something. But outside of that, have a great day. Have a great week. And good luck to the momentum to pro women's cricket tomorrow on Tuesday. When you're watching this, it'll be Tuesday. Good luck. Hopefully you get paid. We want the money. Drop the bag. Outside of that, have a good day. Goodbye. And Nesale Kakahiso.